It's not true. Fake news. Don't believe them.
It is. It really is. Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of What They Don't Tell You. I'm your host Jacob, along with your other host
Aiden, and we're here to bring you our perspective on news, facts, culture, and what we believe to be true.
Alright guys, so welcome back to episode 6. I'm pretty pumped that we're this far along already, guys. Pretty impressive. But as next week's gonna be pretty cool. We got some pretty cool things about Trump. We were doing the impression there. And then we also are gonna be doing in person next week. It's gonna be really fun. But let's run down the topics for today. So first off, we got some more Epstein to talk about. We talked about him last week, but we got a lot more to catch up on this week. We're also gonna be talking about the new Superman movie that just dropped, as well as AI might be taking over the world. So let's get right into it.
Right. Epstein, again. We'll probably never stop talking about him. Feels like a continuation of the Diddy thing here. Obviously, it came beforehand. But,
somehow that's over.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown, recap. Obviously, I think, as Tucker Carlson stated in his speech at the Turning Point USA event, Epstein was obviously a bad dude. I don't think we can deny that anymore. Obviously, he ran a sex trafficking ring. And, you know, there's no clients, though. None. It was him by himself on an island, and that's it, guys. That's all I needed to know.
With his library.
We'll see you tomorrow. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Obviously.
No clients, of
I'm
course.
not buying this anymore, guys. No one's buying this. Pam Bondi herself said that it was sitting on her desk. I know that she's alleging some things, which we'll get into, but just think the client list
But
exists.
apparently Trump has her back, so
Trump does have her back. I whether rightfully or wrongfully, I don't know. So we're gonna dive into that. But to give you a little bit of recap. Ran a sex trafficking ring. Obviously, there's got to be clients. You guys. I'm not saying like there's a concrete list of every single person, but there's got to be other people out there somewhere. Someone knows something. So we'll get in more into that again. But that's a little bit of a recap. Epstein obviously killed himself. We examined the footage. We're also going to talk a little bit of an update on the footage. Yeah. Wow. Killed himself.
We talked about that last week, guys. So if you want to get our take from that.
So, yes. So I think the first thing to dive into on the update side of things, guys, is I would just say political proponents that are really calling for the Epstein client list release. We have people like J.D. Vance and the Theo Vaughn. Now, this was said slightly in a joking manner, but J.D. Vance essentially did call Epstein client list. He wants it released. I'm not sure how much Vance really knows. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know this has a lot to do with the Department of Justice and stuff, so I'm not sure what Vance really knows. But he's calling for it too. We know you have people like Charlie Kirk who have talked about it in the past. We had Tucker Carlson talking about it and Benny Johnson talking about it at this recent Turning Point USA event.
Right.
We've had Donald Trump Jr. himself at the same Turning Point USA event talking about the Epstein client list. Now, Charlie Kirk has said he is done talking about Epstein, and people are giving him quite a bit of crap for it. Now, I don't think this is rightful necessarily, and I'll just read you the quote that he had here, because this is what he said, and there's more context to this, so don't just take it at the face value, but here's what he said. Plenty was said this last weekend at our event about Epstein, he stated. Honestly, I'm not done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done and solve it, balls in their hands. Now, this was right after a conversation that he had with Trump and his administration himself the day before. So people are questioning the legitimacy. Since they're already questioning the legitimacy of the administration, they're questioning the legitimacy of Charlie Kirk. However, I can understand Kirk's stance where he wants to move on because there's not much he can do about it. So I'll let you guys decide what to do with that on your own. But I think basically what I want you to take away from this is that there's a lot of key players talking about the Epstein client list. And so, Jacob, do we kind of want to go over the pros and cons of what releasing the Epstein client list might look like?
Yeah, so I'll first go over a couple pros, right? There's not a lot of them. There's also not a lot of good things that this whole thing is just an awful situation. I will say, so big names like Charlie Kirk are starting to stop talking about it, right? It's kind of getting old news, right? And you could tell Trump was kind of getting annoyed, like, what was it last week whenever he was asked in a press conference, he was like, are we still really talking about that guy? Why are we talking about this guy? And so my big thing is, first off, I'll run down some pros. First off, if we do get these names, right, if there is any, right, if we get these names, we can put consequences into action, right? We can give justice to those who deserve it, right? Whoever was involved in this, whoever was helping with Epstein and his girlfriend Maxwell. We'll talk about her in a little bit, how she said that she's actually going to testify in court. We'll get into that in a second. But the big thing is it's going to be able to tell us who was involved and what action needs to be taken, right? Now, for the thing that, like, a lot of these people are saying that why they're not releasing it is to protect these girls and these people, the victims that were in these videos, right? And that's why they're not releasing these videos. But also, I feel like releasing these lists then opens up a whole new can of worms, because then what happens when certain things that these celebrities were possibly in these lists, right? And we're like, how like Trump might have been in it. And I know we've talked about this for the last 3 weeks now, but like, it's just going to open up a whole new can of worms. Who's going to start blabbing things that aren't true, that these people are on the list? Like, oh, no, I was forced into it. Epstein was making me. And there's a problem because he's dead, right? We can't really go and interrogate him. Who's telling the truth? Who's not telling the truth? Are these people really involved? Were these people telling the truth, right? So that's my big issue.
Yeah. And I would say when people call for the client list, I think some critical thinking needs to be applied to the idea of releasing it, because honestly, we're releasing it for our own curiosity. We're not really releasing it for, like, they don't have to release it necessarily to prosecute, right? So I think it's a curiosity thing of people, and they're frustrated because they want to know and they want to see action being taken. I actually don't think releasing the client list is going to be that productive. I think it's going to hurt a lot of people, potentially. And I do legitimately think, if you want to take my personal opinion on it, no evidence really, I think that there's probably some threats being made. I think something has rattled Trump a little bit. I think that Charlie Kirk has realized he's not getting anywhere, and that it's not worth talking about this anymore. And I just think Trump is trying to shove it under the rug because something's happening in the background that he understands to be very dangerous. Now, I do briefly want to talk about
your thing with Charlie Kirk saying he's had enough, right? And he's done talking about it, and with him saying, like, I trust my friends in the government, right? Not all of us, like me and you and the civilians and people that are just watching this from their computers and their couches, we don't have friends at the government, right? So we don't know how much we can trust about these people. Charlie Kirk might know people inside the government, and he might fully trust, but, like, it really shows, do you trust Charlie Kirk or not? And do you trust his saying that he trusts his friends in the government? Because we don't have...
The bigger issue to me is that I am a pretty big believer in something other than just our government is running things. I think there's a lot of corruption that goes on. We've talked about that. And so I wanted to give you guys a quick quote by Woodrow Wilson real quick, to kind of give you an idea of why I think this and why I do believe that there's something underlying to this Epstein client list, and there's reasons Trump's not releasing it, because I think he found out something that scared him, or he realizes the negative side of that. Like, these victims are going to be dead. Like, I'm just saying it. Like, think about the people that have died. Suicide. You know, like, even Epstein himself. That's just, it doesn't make sense. And so here's the quote by Woodrow Wilson. Quote, "Since I entered politics, I've chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of something. They know that there's a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it." So there you can kind of see where I get my background of, okay, they're coming from a president, and there's a lot of corruption going on.
So there's rumors, and you were talking about there's somebody that's above our government, right? There's rumors that Epstein... So first off, Epstein was a teacher, right? He was a teacher before all this went down. How does he get a multi-million-dollar mansion, a tens of million-dollar island, right?
Yep.
And there's rumors that Israel's involved. And so that's one thing we have to be careful about, because, like you said, I don't know how many, like, there's a bigger power than just Trump, right? Because why is Trump scared? He's supposedly the most powerful man in the world.
I would think that that's the only.
And from the way we've seen it and read things, we assume that he's a little on edge and not very comfortable.
It's
right,
unlike
releasing
him
these
to deviate from what he originally intended. You know, like, he usually falls all the way through full confidence, full steam ahead. So.
And again, that's why a lot of these conservatives are mad at Trump, because this is one of the things he ran on. This is one of his promises that he said he would release these. So a lot of people are scared. But the thing with Israel, right? And so my thing is, why is there just one or two countries that are maybe, we really have power over this? Or could this be more of a group thing that's like, we're here to take down the U.S., right? We've seen great empires fall, and could we be the next one? I don't know.
I mean, we're going to be at 250 anniversary next year, and republics last, I believe, 200 years on average. So, guys, we are above the average for the history. No, I don't know. I definitely think that there's people. I don't know that they want to. They want to destroy America in the sense that they want to run America their way, right? They'd rather have it be the socialist states of America, or the communist states of America that are gonna. And I do believe that based on just what you see from the left and how they cancel certain people, they provide money to certain people over others. They hit the rich really heavily, provide to the poor. Their whole idea of this healthcare system that's gonna, you don't have to pay for healthcare, but the money gotta come from somewhere. So all these things built on top of each other. I think we have this idea of this shadow government in the background, where I don't know, and I think it is a wrestle for power. I don't know enough. I don't want to conspiracize too much. So I'm just going to say right now, I do believe there's some corruption. Obviously, there's corruption concerning these Epstein files. Obviously, Trump is not releasing something for whatever reason that may be. I will let you decide for yourself. We've given you some opinions on that. So to move on, I'd like to dive into another aspect of this, which was Epstein's suicide, which we talked about last week. And that aspect is the fact that it has been leaked that the Epstein footage could have been edited. So site Wired finds that Epstein footage likely went through editing processor. However, experts warn that this doesn't mean footage was edited. Understandable. It could have just gone through a processor because they want to clean it up to release to the general public. I do find it convenient that to back up a claim of him not committing suicide, they suddenly find it within themselves to be able to release to us a video of this. And obviously you see the 1 minute gone. I do believe that this could have been edited as simply as they patched two videos together. Right? Here's footage from the day after or something. I don't know.
They were saying, and Candace talked about this a little bit, they were talking how it's their excuse was, and I think this is a pretty pathetic excuse, is that they have the almost like a daylight savings minute. Right, it just disappears. Candace made the joke that she was like, "Oh yeah, I have the daylight savings minute in my house. We just delete the minute before midnight, right? That's everybody does that. You don't do that. That's weird." Yeah. And we're getting this information from thedailycaller.com. We'll link that in the description.
But Wired was the original source.
And I'm reading off Daily Caller. I'll also do the Wired. I'll link Wired down in the description as well. But the FBI's so-called raw surveillance footage from outside Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell the night of the death was likely edited, according to Friday Wired review of the video's metadata. Now, the thing was, again, could they be telling the truth, right? Because I know security cameras, security systems, have little things like that, and we don't get into that until these situations, right? And maybe because a lot of these surveillance footage, unless they're saved within a certain amount of time after needed, they just delete, right? Because they don't have time, they don't have storage to save years and years of footage.
Right.
So possibly does this get deleted? They restore it, right? And then they have to patch it together to be able to send out to the public. And maybe that's why it took so long for them to be able to release it. That's a thing that we could look into, and that's where we're going to give the benefit of the doubt for this thing, the editing, because you can see in the file's name, it'll show if it's been edited or not, right? And you can go into its code, but I don't know, it's just a little suspicious.
For sure suspicious. I think it's just something to point out. So now that we've given you guys an idea of kind of the corruption level, what we think about it, I would, in the shady things around Epstein that have always happened, I do want to dive into the last thing, which is Ghislaine Maxwell, who was Epstein's girlfriend we talked about last week, is in prison for sex trafficking, which if there's no client list, why is she in prison, guys?
Only 20 years,
offered to testify in Congress about the events circulating around Epstein, his role in the sex trafficking ring, and probably some names. So we don't know how it all works, but I know that every time I open any comment section that has to do with anything political, that has to do with anything with Epstein, they're saying it right now, Maxwell didn't commit suicide.
Right.
So people are already anticipating she testifies she's dead. Understandable at this point. I mean, it's way too. There's way. Anyone connected with this dude tends to not last very long. So people are suspicious, rightfully so. So hopefully she gets good security, mainly because we want to hear what she has to say.
Right. And the DOJ, apparently... Okay, so the DOJ, right? So Maxwell actually requested for her conviction to be overturned. And the DOJ rejected that because she was not in the 4 women named for in the case or whatever, right? Yeah. Now, another thing to look at is... First off... why is she convicted in the first place if there's no client list, right? That's what we first got to look at. And we already talked about this last week, but I just want to bring that up again because it's just a little suspicious, right?
Yep.
But, like, what do you think about that?
I mean, obviously we know that something went on, so, like a sex trafficking ring, so, like, obviously she should be in jail. But based on what the Trump administration is saying... she shouldn't be. It's just a weird situation. Again, if she does testify, it's going to be even weirder because people just, I mean, literally, like, every comment section. Maxwell did not commit suicide. Maxwell did not commit suicide. Saying it early. Maxwell did not commit suicide. So you get the idea. Like, people just expect her, if she does testify, they expect her to die. Like, that's the hard truth of it. And I'm sorry, but if you get to a point where, like, oh, you're going to say something against a person and we're just expecting you to be dead, there's probably an issue. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for real.
You can't keep going with, like, oh, anyone says anything, they end up dead 2 days later, and you can't be like, it's fine. You know, so it's just, I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's
I don't know.
Tough for sure. There's not a lot more I have to say on it. I feel like we've updated it pretty well, so you guys have a little bit of an idea of what's going on as far as the people talking about the Epstein client list, asking for it, the actual negative connotations to whether it would mean just to have the Epstein client list, obviously the poor communication by the Trump administration, and then I would just say obviously the Epstein cell footage being edited potentially, and Ghislaine Maxwell getting ready to potentially testify. So you guys have just about everything on that topic. So to shift the momentum for a second, we want to talk about Superman, the Man of Steel, that is kind of getting holes punched in him right now by the conservative movement. So Superman obviously just recently came out. Classic character. Comic books are, I think, maybe still the best-selling in the world right now. Obviously a very important character to America, too, as he represents core American values. And the movie itself, I've heard, is okay. But the political realm outside of the movie, let's just say the left just can't leave it alone. And so we just see person after person saying it's about immigration. And Superman's an immigrant. And that's fine, but just don't make it political. It's about America. And I just... And just a superhero and a classic superhero that everyone loves. So just don't make it political at all. We just want to zone out for a little while and enjoy life, you know? Watch Superman.
And so the director James Gunn, right? And first off, before I say this, I'm gonna just tell you the stats real quick. So, opening weekend, July 11th through the 13th, the movie released on the 11th. North America, which is U.S. and Canada, brought in $122 million. International markets, which is anything outside of U.S. and Canada, brought in $95 million, totaling up to $217 million worldwide total, which is insane. Yeah. This movie marks the third highest Hollywood opening of 2025 after the Minecraft movie, which, I don't know, and Lilo and Stitch, which was pretty good. So, Friday's launch, which was the 11th, brought in $56.5 million just on opening day alone, which is pretty insane.
That's really good.
Which a lot of people are saying that the conservatives are boycotting this movie because of what James Gunn was pushing on the political side of things. And I'm going to read you a quote that James Gunn said just 2 days ago, I believe. Superman goes woke. I mean, Superman is the story of America, an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country. But for me, it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value in something we have lost. So a lot of conservatives are not liking where James James Gunn is pushing this movie too, and that's why they're trying to basically boycott it, which is still insane that these numbers were how it is, even especially with the boycott.
Yeah, assuming people really are. Here's the thing. To me, I don't have anything against necessarily what he's saying. I just think that people take it the wrong way because of how often we've been hit with the political nonsense in movies that we're trying to enjoy. And so when it's a character that hits so close to home like Superman, it's deeply bothering to have any political affiliation to it whatsoever. So I can understand where people are coming from here. I'm not going to boycott the movie. I actually think I'm curious about it. If there's nothing political about the movie, I don't really care. It's just a character I enjoy. And so the only thing that actually does bother me, and that's not even necessarily this movie, it's shaped this in I guess in the comics too. I don't read comics, you guys. I just hear sources. But his motto over time has changed, you see, because his motto used to be truth, justice in the American way, and has turned into truth, justice in the human way. I think people get it mixed up in their heads, and I think the same thing is happening with James Gunn, and they have this idea that, like, America is about superiority and conquering and running this, regime-like country, and it's not. The American way is about freedom, personal integrity, loving your neighbor, the Christian values we've talked about in episodes past, and that's what it's about. And so I think when we say the American way, it's just the grit and determination this country was built on, coupled with the values that we held dear. And so I just think that in that and out of itself is better than the human way, because what people don't understand is the human way is just the contrary way. If we want to talk about what's really the human way, we think of humanistic traits as inherently good, and I understand that. I understand where that actual wordage is coming from. But when I think of the human way based on what Jesus tells us about the human way, I think of the corruption that is instantly in us the second we are born, the sin nature that defiles us constantly. And so I think of that as the human way. And then when I think of the American way, it's the principles that we enjoy and the things that we strive towards to be more like Jesus, more like Christ, have better principles. Even if you're not a Christian, again, we've talked about it and said it many times, this benefits everyone. And so people get the American way and the human way in this sense mixed up, and I don't think it's really what they mean. And so in this instance, I'm not boycotting the movie because I just think they're confused. The conservatives see it as an attack. I just see it as, okay, and I mean, I'm conservative, but I would say we see it as an attack, but I'm like, it's not really an attack. I don't like that they're politically censoring it really at all. I didn't need that. I just want to enjoy the movie. So I understand that frustration. I'm not going to understand that frustration that stems from, oh, you don't like America. I don't think that's actually necessarily where this is coming from. I don't know what the dude's views are. I don't care what the dude's views are. And mainly I just hope that we can just enjoy the movie, not too politically centered in the movie. I'm probably going to go see it. I would like to. What are your thoughts, Jacob?
I agree with what you were saying there, like 100%. Again, I really just think that the culture in today's society, that they always try to push anything to be political. They are trying to push their agenda on everybody through everything, whatever they can get their hands on. And I think that's just a big problem with just right now in general, anything, right? We were talking about like a lot of the things last month with Pride Month, where like football and MLB and basketball, and I don't know how much basketball really did, but MLB, NFL were really trying to push their agendas for gay, like football is gay and all that stupid stuff. And I really think, like, can we just sit down and like have a beer on the couch and watch some football? Right? Like that's, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just like, they can't just go back to the good old, like, it has to push their agenda on everything. I think that that's what they're doing. And I feel like that's what they're doing with everything nowadays. And we can see it in this movie. And I just think that inside the movie, there's nothing that really is political, right? And again, I think with talking on the Superman topic, right, it just seems like the left always tries to push their agenda, including in the Superman's son, which are now saying that he's bisexual. Like, and that's in the comics. And I think that they just anything they can get their hands on is what is basically what it comes down to.
Well, it's the same thing that happened with, it's unfortunate because it's the same thing that happened with Ironheart, you know? I'm sorry. Look, I don't really care about like the racial thing, like, but I wish they would have made it like Rhodey from the old one, because Iron Man, it was always like, look, classic Iron Man, classic Tony Stark, what everyone pictured him to be, and then they took that and they made it a lesbian female. It's not what people picture, and it's not what they want, and it's not the character development that they want. It's not going to work out. You got to make your own character. Like, I don't really care. Okay, let's just say, okay, they're going to make another a black women character. Great. Like, that's great. Like, if you want, like, I don't care who it is, but make a new character that's fun and exciting, right?
Like,
Instead of trying to make it like race swap, gender swap. I'm like, I don't need that. I liked Tony Stark. I'm not going to like anyone else. So,
and when we've talked,
get me hooked into a character that you designed that's separate.
Exactly. We've both talked about this before, where we're talking about, like, again, like She-Hulk, and there's other like the girl Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, and other I can't really name them right now, but like other characters that they take, like the Superman, Superwoman, right? Spider-Man, Spider-Woman. I really don't care, because right now this is where the left goes, oh, they're like, oh, they don't like women, they're not feminist and whatever. I'm not saying that, right? I'm saying I don't care it's a woman. I don't care that's black, right? I just want to see a new character. You're trying to force something on like make an original character, and I'll probably enjoy it, right? Like, I don't care that's black. I don't care that's white. I don't care that's purple. I don't care that's a woman. I don't care that's a dude. And I personally don't see a toaster as a gender, but if you're going to make a toaster Superman, I'm not going to like it even more, right? So, like, just if you can make an original character, that's going to be a lot more potential to be successful than when it be if you're already going into it like, oh, I really don't want to see a black lesbian girl Superman, right?
Yeah. So it's just, yes, I 100% agree, and I do think, like, I know people blow back and they'll be like, well, like, you know, whatever, Spider-Woman, this, that, they're in the comics, you know, they've been there for X amount of years. I think some of them did come out, like, right after the originals came out. So there's some that have existed before, so I understand the blowback there a little bit. But when they try to, again, I'm never going to agree. That doesn't mean I don't care about you, but I'm not going to agree on a sin nature level with any of the pride stuff, with any of that stuff, because it's just, it's not good. It's a sin. And it's a deep and pervasive sin that has taken over and people now believe it's right, and it's just not. So I'm always going to fight against that. But again, on the same note, I can understand they're like, oh, well, these characters have been there in the comics for a long time. I'm like, that's fine, but that didn't make them better than the original character.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it'd be the same thing for me if they took Black Panther and made him white. I'd be like, what flip? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like that. But that would outrage the left. But they can do it the other way. And it's fine. So it doesn't make sense to me fully. But again, make your own character. Like, I don't want to see the adaptation of Black Panther with his whatever sister. I want to see a brand new character like that Cheetah. I've never heard of before.
Like a white chick that's a cheetah. Like, I would watch that. Like,
whatever. I don't care. Yeah, exactly. Like, make your own character, but you have to actually build plot and not just throw a superhero in, right? And so I do think that in this case, Superman movie, got nothing against it. I think that's basically what we're trying to narrow it down to.
I'm honestly gonna go watch it. I'm gonna go watch
it. Go see it. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll give you our updates. Honestly,
movie theaters got really good deal on Tuesdays for me, so I might go see it. I also kind of want to see the new How to Train Your Dragon.
I do too. Also, the what's it called? Jurassic Park. That sounds pretty good.
That could be fun. I know. There's so many Jurassic Parks that come out all the time. If they kept the political stuff out of it, dude, I'll go chill. I don't care if it's the stupidest thing.
Here, take my money. I don't care.
Yeah, like, whatever, dude. If I just get to go zone out and enjoy it, whatever.
Exactly.
So no, and How to Train Your Dragon is supposed to be good too. So that's a little bit of a side note, guys. But some fun movies maybe coming out, and I encourage you guys to just enjoy.
Don't bring political stuff into it.
Yeah, just don't bring the political stuff, and we're all here for it.
All right, guys. So our last topic for today. We've talked a lot about political stuff.
A robot.
We've talked a lot about cultural stuff with Superman, right? Now we're going to be talking about AI. Seems like that's a good podcast. Political, culture, and now AI. Like, what more do you need?
Rounding it out. You got the meat, vegetable, and then you got dessert. Exactly. Which includes some sci-fi-ish horror. So
robots that are going to take over the world. But so today, this isn't really a topic that's trending or anything like that. We're more just going to be talking about, like, what our thoughts on AI are, like, pros and cons, and just kind of a thing that I did want to bring up a stat real quick here. So I'll read it off to you right now. I got this from CNN Business. says more than half, 61% of large U.S. firms plan to use AI within the next year to automate tasks previously done by employees. This includes surveys and like financial things and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
Now, so the big thing with this is, what is AI doing to jobs, right? Jobs are getting taken away because of AI, and eventually we're going to be getting our McDonald's hamburgers from AI robots. So what are your thoughts on just kind of AI taking over the world?
Are they gonna have to teach it to smash the burger down really flat?
Yep. You have to sit on it.
Like put the fry, and then like dump the fries in like upside down.
Yep. Yeah. You have to sit on it, and you might have sat on it, but it'll taste.
They'll learn quick.
and then every time they hand it to you, they pull out the Hagrid phrase. I might have sat on it, but it would taste fine just the same.
Yeah. So I think this brings up a lot of questions, and again, it actually brings up the government again, and I'll explain why in a second. Because AI taking over any kind of job, there's a lot of potential for it in certain industries. I would say that even when I look at something like law and engineering, it can now do like architectural framework and certain law documents. So I could see it's not replacing those jobs, but it's making those jobs easier. I know that, so to give you guys some framework for what the government's done about this, because people are worried about government overreach with AI, they're worried about underreach, whereas they're taking jobs and the government's just letting them. So there's only two really pieces of legislation in play for AI right now. The first is an executive order by Trump, and I can't remember the name, but it's an executive order where basically rescinded the previous Biden era policies on AI, and so now there's more freedom from corporations and other places to use it in the competitive global job market. And also on a federal level, that same executive order forced all branches of government to come up with an AI game plan, essentially, within 180 days of it going into effect, to give them the best time to work with, essentially come up with a plan like, okay, we're going to use this to stay competitive in this area with AI. We're going to use AI to do this. So it's basically a plan. Each branch of government had to do it, part of the whole deal. And so that's the first piece of legislation. The other piece of legislation is a recent one, too, and I believe it's like S.146, if you look it up, or the Take It Down Act, which this one's really important to me, and I believe it's preserving the American right to privacy. Now, before you guys lay into me about, okay, there's no constitutional American right to privacy, I want to say something. So this act essentially takes down any non-consensual image of a person, usually in pornographic context in this case. But so basically all sites have to take down, because there's, I don't know if you guys remember, there's that whole news thing about the Taylor Swift deepfakes where they're essentially creating like porn images of Taylor Swift. So that stuff like that all had to get taken down because that's an image of a person without their consent. Right. And so all that had to get taken down. They can't make any more. They wholeheartedly stand behind this act. Oh, yeah. And if you can see what I was saying about no constitutional right to privacy, I would argue the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendments create a decent argument for privacy. And then I would also say that the Supreme Court usually sides with privacy. You can look at stuff like Griswold versus the state of Connecticut or something. I don't remember. The United States went up to the United States Supreme Court. They voted on the side of privacy in this case. So I would argue that we do have a right to privacy. Ethically, we have a right to privacy. So these are the two acts in right now. And then I'm going to have Jacob kind of take it. So that's just to give you a background idea, guys. I know that's a lot, but just trying to give you an idea of how the government's dealing with this. So Jacob, do you think our government should, like, if it gets to the point where AI is taking over job after job after job, do you think the government should step in and be like, no, you can't use AI for X, Y, Z. We got to bring people back to work? Or is the government just going to let it run and we might be out of a lot of jobs? Like, what do you think is going to happen here?
So I'm going to bring up 2 points real quick. First one, so the Big Beautiful Bill that just passed a couple weeks ago, correct? Yeah. So Trump actually had a piece of in there something about AI, right? So he's going to be what he did for, like, in the Big Beautiful Bill, is
bill. It's a great bill, very beautiful.
It's very big. It's very beautiful. Is he's not allowing states or local government to regulate AI. So this is going to be at the federal level, right? This is going to be at the local branches. So this isn't going to have, each state's going to have their own rules for AI, right? So it's going to be able to cross between states, right? Which I think is good because it'll regulate things that, like, for instance, if you're moving back and forth, if you have a company that has a thing about AI that you need to regulate, then they can just move to Ohio or New York, right? And they're like, they just go from state to state to get whatever they need done. And so I think that's a big thing, right? Yeah. And then another thing that I want to talk about before we get into the job aspect is AI in school, right? Because we're homeschooled, right? And we're online college, right? And you'll be taking in-person class this year, correct?
Yep.
So in person, it's a lot harder to use AI, right? Personally, I actually
maybe if you in person,
yeah. But eventually, right? Like we'll both be eventually in person college right now. But we've recently done online college, right? And I personally did not use AI to help me, and I used study guides. But like my mom gave me tools to help, but she regulated what I could use for AI, right? And so, but I saw like doing it, and you probably saw the pretty similar things that you probably could have got past several of those classes with AI, and your teacher would have never known. Right, because there's a lot of humanizers now that like get past these things that they put into AI, right? And you had a situation where didn't they say that they thought yours was AI, wasn't it? Was that you? No, I think I heard a story. I think it might have been one of my buddies where he actually wrote it and it was so good they thought it was AI. But the thing with that is like schools nowadays, like my doctors are gonna not even know the first thing about doctoring because they literally just used AI to get through. Because I guarantee I could get a degree on AI alone.
I probably could. Yeah, no, I didn't use it at all. Other than I use it to edit if my parents aren't home because, I just throw it in. I'm like, don't change any words, edit my paper. It's no different than using like a Grammarly subscription.
Grammarly, yeah, exactly.
It's faster too. So that's literally it though. I used it for nothing else because I know, like I want to know this stuff.
And it's plagiarism. You can get kicked out of college and stuff like that. But it's easily weavable, you can get around it pretty easily.
Easily. I mean, because here's the thing, like, I have an uncle who's a professor at the University of Wisconsin, and he says even if he believes something's AI or something, because, you can use AI to look for AI in a paper, he says even if he does that, he can't guarantee it's AI. Meaning he can't actually be like, call him in and be like, hey, you used AI on this, because sure, it might say 97% this is AI, but you can't say that. Like, there's no like legal issue there where you don't have like
real concrete evidence that it is.
You can't. So there's a huge issue with that. I think that should definitely be regulated. I know there'll be complaints about that just because I'm sure it'll infringe on some, I don't know if to call them rights. I view it as a little bit of a public tool, and I think that the government can regulate that to some degree. Right. So I do hope that for sure schools crack down on it, but then online learning makes it so tough to regulate this. And so I'm nervous. I mean, I don't want any surgeries done on me by some doctor. He'll be like I'll be under, and he'll be like,
Chat GPT, which bone is right?
Which one's the appendix? Oh, not the one right under his chest. Okay. Oh, not
the one that's pumping blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some red stuff coming out of this one. What does that mean?
And one thing that I will say, Google's Gemini, like we have Google Pixels, we both do, right?
Yep.
And you can, in Google Messages, we have Gemini, right? And I think, and I don't know, like I think like some people you can put different birthdays in, but if you put your correct birthday in, it won't let you use Chat GPT until you're over the age of 18. So 18 or older, you can't use Gemini built into Google Messages. Now, I have, I can hold down the button and it'll pop up with AI Helper, right? I'm allowed to use that, but if I want to use Gemini, I can't use it until I'm 18. I can download Copilot and I can do the stuff like that, but I think
what I was gonna say.
There's workarounds, but I like how they're kind of doing it to where it's like, until you're out of school, or at least out of high school.
Yeah, that should be like 25 then.
Like college.
I don't know. There's no good way to do it, though. I mean, honestly, how are you going to do that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think, that's tough, dude. Also, I love that they're only regulating messages. Like, don't use AI when you're texting your friends.
Well, it's more bad. It can do a lot of things. It can do a lot of things, but it's more like built-in text messaging your friends, but it's AI answering. And I don't know if we've kind of already talked about this, but the story that H1T1 did, talking about the company that got caught It can just stand for actually Indian instead of AI.
Yeah, there was so basically, guys, if you don't get it, there's a company that said they made this AI that was super advanced, and really it was just a bunch of people,
Indian guys,
people, that designed this, that were literally just like
answering the messages.
Yes, so
they're just texting back and forth with a random person.
Yeah. Anyway, that was random, but. Yeah, I don't know. AI is getting crazy. I don't know. I'm not, like, a huge believer in, robots are going to take over the world. I do get nervous, though, about, like, I mean, okay, maybe. I could see it infecting our internet really fast because, I don't know, there's a story recently where they were about to shut down part of this ChatGPT program, and it copied itself.
Yeah,
and
because it said,
itself.
Well, what they said, we're giving you the option, we're going to shut you down. Will you want to shut yourself down? Or like something along the lines of that. And what it did, instead of like shutting itself down, it copied itself to a different server and like started running itself somewhere else. And
then denied that it did that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
And I don't like that. I don't like that it can lie to you. I feel like there should be some sort of software where it's like...
And the public ChatGPT has a lot of regulations that it can't give false information. But with Elon's Grok 4, that was just released a couple weeks ago, or maybe less than a week ago, maybe. It's super powerful and can now give you political opinions, and it's programmed to not give you anything political. Like ChatGPT is supposed to stay off political things.
Right.
Grok does not give a crap, bro. It just says. The programming says it can give political statements. It just has to have evidence for where it got it from.
Can I just say, I'm sure there's a reason, but Musk is the worst with names. Like Grok. That just sounds
really?
Like I'm expecting caveman answers. Grok, find rock. Okay, find rock. You know what I mean? Like
fire.
Yeah.
Like, did we really rename Twitter X? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or like SpaceX? Come on, man.
Like, he just likes the letter X.
I don't know. I think his own AI could probably come up with better names than he can.
I know. It's probably AI. It's probably like, just don't call me that. I don't associate with this.
I don't. That is not my name.
Yeah. Anyway, all that aside, I view it probably more like it's gonna be used personally against people, because I know there's this new bill, but there's always gonna probably be workarounds with that, with deepfakes and stuff. Yeah, so I worry about the chances of just people using AI against each other to the point where it gets so powerful that you can use it to like ruin people's images. You know, like of people attack them for this, tag them for that, and then have evidence to back it up somehow with AI. Like I worry about that kind of stuff, like personal use against other people.
And it's scary because some of these like image generators, again, like you said, the pornography, it's probably regulated, but some of these images that can like I can ask Grok, write me like, again, like I used about 2 episodes ago, I used it for our thumbnail for the church shooting incident that we talked about. Sure. And I used Grok I said, give me a murder scene at a church, which sounds a little weird, but that was kind of the gist of the episode, right? So I used that for and it gave me a pretty good one. I was like, wow, like I'm surprised this was even regulated. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, yeah, some images can be, and the only thing the bill prohibits is AI-generated image of a real person.
Right.
So, like, you can't have the consent to that, but they can make it of a fake person.
Yeah.
You know, they can do any kind of pornographic content, any kind of, like, bloody content, you know, like, whatever, gore kind of thing. They can do it as long as it's not an actual person.
Right.
So, yeah. It doesn't
and you see a lot of you've seen a lot of these, like, exactly, you've seen a lot of these, like, fake, like AI accounts, right? Like, they'll just be like, hey, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the AI account. Today we're making pizza. Like, they do a lot of weird stuff. And I'm like, I don't want this. And another thing, YouTube actually just put up a new, like, update to where faceless YouTube channels are basically going to be taken. Like, I like listening to the stories every now and then, but, like, these AI, like, and fake and, like, faceless YouTube channels are going to be taken down when YouTube,
I like that.
because it clutters up your feed. Because I really want to see real people, right? Like these guys like are just type. They're not really trying, right, and not putting like actually using their cameras and actually trying, right. They're just making like AI and saying whatever they want and doing whatever they want. And I think it's cool because YouTube's kind of like cracking down on that. So it's like,
yeah, I'm glad there will be places that crack down on it, because I think on a basic level, no one likes the idea of AI taking too many jobs. I think that's really gonna eventually, assuming it just continues to grow at the rate it's growing, you're gonna have way more prevalent homelessness with lack of jobs, because the housing market's terrible right now, and the job market's doing decent right now. It definitely had a huge boom. I will say, we'll give credit to Trump there. There's been some better policies in place. We've seen a definite boom in just employment in general. So I think that'll continue growing. But I do see an issue if AI continues to grow, housing market stays the same. I think you're going to see an uptick in homelessness. I think you're probably going to see an uptick in depression too. And then there's the new MIT study that literally shows that ChatGPT, you get stupider the more you use AI, basically. I'm just going to leave it at that. The MIT study basically took a bunch of people, some people were able to take, like, it's an SAT test, and some people couldn't use anything other than just resources like, like Google or anything like that to just research their own information, books. And then they had, I think they had one other AI program, but ChatGPT was the one where by the end of the program, the people were literally just copy-pasting, and then when asked about it, they didn't remember any of the information.
Yeah. And
so
I actually saw this when you're talking about it, and so they had 3 groups, right? They had the one which is strictly books, Wikipedia, Google, stuff like that. One where they could use both AI plus AI, so they could use AI, Wikipedia, Google, books,
and then one strictly solely AI.
And they found out that if you regulate AI, that the middle group, right? The group that had everything and AI, they actually remembered the most, right? They asked them without any of their stuff. They just said, "Hey, what do you remember?"
That's cool.
The group that used both remembered the most. Then it was the group that used just books and Google and stuff. And the guys that were just copy and pasting AI couldn't remember anything. So that just
makes sense.
Goes to show you what you need to know, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
Though, guys, I think that's going to be it for this episode, Aiden. Do you have anything else to add?
Don't. Lot to think about, guys. I know this is a lot of opinions and stuff, so make your own decisions. This just gives you an idea of kind of where the world's centered at right now. Obviously, we've all got biases, so do your own research. Appreciate you guys for being there. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, guys, because we got good content. We'd like to hear from you, so comment too. Comment, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, and next week is an in-person episode, so we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yes! All right.
The plain dynamite.